Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here and try to run this play in the alley. Lombardi called this direct approach grinding meat.
Now that's what I call implementing a game plan.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the WorryFree Retirement, with offices in Louisville and Bowling Green. Your host, five-time author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
Football has often been referred to as X's and O's, and no one demonstrated the ability to communicate and execute the X's and O's than one of the most successful football coaches of his day, Vince Lombardi. Now, long before coaches truly understood the basics of blocking and tackling and executing these X's and O's, Lombardi did. As you can see, he had a wide range of accomplishments, and one of the main reasons he was so successful in racking up all these coaching wins for the Green Bay Packers was, I believe, that in coaching football, he understood the X's and O's of the players and the goal of scoring touchdowns. And as we're going to see in today's show, it's very much like money. We're going to see that you have to score financial points, and in order to do that, you've got to have a written game plan. In fact, a game plan that puts a team approach behind helping savers worry less about money. Welcome, folks, to the WorryFree Retirement. I am 401k rollover specialist and fiduciary Tony Walker. And in case you're just now joining us, we have spent the last several weeks sharing my personal philosophy about money, life, and retirement, and what I refer to as our trademark process called the WorryFree Retirement. Now, this is a 5-step process I designed years ago, and it's specifically for savers, those people that are more concerned about the return of their money than on it. And on today's show, we'll be sharing the importance of implementing the game plan. But before we teach you how to do just that, let's review the first 3 steps that must be completed before ever implementing the game plan. In the WorryFree Retirement, our first step, and I think it's the most important, is to clarify your vision. Now, in this step, this is where you will actually sit down to talk to us to see exactly what you have and where you're trying to go with your money, and ultimately how to best use and protect that money even while you're alive and long after you're dead and gone. Now, what makes our approach unique is that together, this is not always about the money, but rather how to use, enjoy, and protect it. It's not always about trying to grow your money, but putting the money in perspective first and then spending it. Now, we've assumed in our process, or at least this is my philosophy, you've worked hard all your life to accumulate this money, and at some point, come on now, you want to enjoy it versus now versus later. And that second step that we talk about after we clarify your vision is the assessment. We've talked about this the last 3 weeks, of course, and talked about how the assessment, in my 35 years of studying people, quickly allows us to give you options that are available to us and then match those options up to your specific vision. For instance, I see this time and time again. Savers will come in to see me, all right, and they say that, hey, I don't want to lose a bunch of money in retirement, or I don't want to have to go back to work one day. That's my vision of retirement. But then I look at their statements over their 401k plan, and 80% of it's in the market. Now, that might have been appropriate when you're 45 or 50, but as you're approaching retirement, folks, if you're a saver, and again, you don't want to take a lot of risk, why wouldn't you want to see how we can safely enjoy this money? So again, this would be an example of not having an action plan that goes along with the vision. So when we take the work out of this, when we look at what we're trying to do, we put it in a written game plan, not some boilerplate plan that we crank out of a computer. This written game plan is from our proprietary process. It's software that I've had created. And the best part of all this is you get to see a written game plan on your specific situation absolutely free. Now, this will allow you and your spouse and family members to, what we like to say in our business and what they like to say obviously in football, is to get on the same page. I mean, let's face it, if a coach has a playbook and the other players aren't operating from this playbook firsthand, there's going to be problems. And the same is true for your retirement plan. We got to have a game plan. It's got to be simple and easy to understand, and it's got to be able to be communicated confidently to your family members, not only now, but for the rest of your life. I guess you could say in football lingo, we're helping you create a playbook. So if you feel like you have money, but no one's on the sidelines really helping design a game plan, a strategy, then stay tuned as we share how to implement a financial game plan. I'll be right back. You're watching the Worry-Free Retirement.
Are you retired or retiring soon? Can you afford for your money to take a hit with the stock market being so volatile these days? Nobody can time the market, but having a retirement game plan with Tony Walker Financial gives you peace of mind and sleep insurance. Learn how to prevent losses in your retirement accounts and plan your retirement around an income you can never outlive. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com today to schedule a personal meeting with Tony to secure your hard-earned money. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
And now it's time for Tony in the Trenches.
Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. I'm going to answer that Tony in the Trenches question here coming up. I've got a great one for you. But first, I want to mention something we're going to be hosting. I was at a conference, this has been several months ago, and I heard a Heather Schreiber speak. She's out of Atlanta, and she's a Social Security expert. She's a consultant. She doesn't sell anything. She just gives great presentations on Social Security. And I thought, hey, Heather, do you mind coming to Louisville and Bowling Green, and I'll pay you? She said, absolutely. So we're excited to have one of the nationally recognized experts in Social Security come to Louisville on June 11th. That's a Tuesday. She'll be at 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock. Free workshop on Social Security, whether you're retired or retiring soon, it doesn't matter. This is for everyone, okay? So we would encourage you to sign up for that one in Louisville. You can either come to the 2 o'clock or 6 o'clock. Same presentation, plenty of time to ask Heather your questions. Then in Bowling Green on Wednesday, June 12th at 2 o'clock there in Bowling Green, Heather will be in Bowling Green. Again, so if you have questions to your Social Security, again, it doesn't matter whether you're retired or retiring soon, you'll want to attend this. To register for either of these workshops, just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. There's a place there to click on for workshops, or give us a call and we can get you registered. Okay, our Tony in the Trenches comes from Tate in Louisville, who asked the following. Tony, I'm over the age of 70 and a half and having to take my required minimum distribution, and to be quite frank, I really don't need the money. I would like to give this money to charity instead of taking it in cash and then turning around and giving it to charity, because I heard it makes more sense to give it directly to charity, but how does this work? Well, basically, Tate's got a really good question, and let's kind of look at what he's talking about. This is really called the Qualified Charitable Distribution, QCD, and we're talking about it in relation to the RMD. I know it's a lot of acronyms, sounds like we're in school or something here. RMD is the required minimum distribution, but you got to consider these things to do. So yes, in order to give money directly to the charity, you can do that. That can help reduce possibly some of the taxes on your Social Security. This is how all this fits in, folks. So let's look at this. First of all, it has to be transferred directly from the IRA custodian to the qualified charity. You can't have the custodian, let's say it's Charles Schwab has your IRA, they can't send you the RMD and then you give it to charity. So it has to go directly to the qualified charity. Secondly, there is a maximum annual amount. Now, most people don't have RMDs of this amount, but you can only give up to $100,000 to charity per year to qualify and keep it off your tax return. Now, it has to be reported from your IRA custodian as a normal distribution. That's called Form 1099-R. And you're going, well, what do you mean it's a normal distribution? The custodians are going to issue that 1099-R, which leads to our next point. You're going to have to, it's called a QCD exception when reporting the 1099-R income. This is why some people say, Tony, do I need an accountant when I get in retirement? Or if you're going to be working with us, we're going to be doing a lot of planning around this. Incidentally, I'm excited. Our staff is continually growing. Most advisors hire more advisors, and then what happens is the service sometimes suffer. What we do is I continue to see the people, and we hire more service professionals because of our growing clientele. So we have Leanne Powell now in the office full-time. So if you have tax questions, things like this is a free service we give folks. So we have a Social Security expert on staff, and now we have someone that can do the tax planning on staff, all paid for by Tony Walker Financial. You don't owe us a dime. And then finally, we always encourage you to keep acknowledgement of the donation of your tax records, okay? So you want to keep up with this stuff. All right, so let's review where we are. We've clarified our vision for retirement, okay? Doesn't matter whether you're nearing retirement or whatever, that has to be done. Then we're going to oversee this with a service professionals of experts. We're going to create this written game plan for you to consider. Then we're going to meet. I'm going to share my findings about this game plan. And you might say, well, over the years, Tony, sounds like you've done a few of these game plans. How many have you done? Well, that's an interesting point. I asked Rachel in our office. She's in our Bowling Green office. In fact, if you call to set up an appointment or go to our website, Rachel's the one that's going to be reaching out to you. And I said, Rachel, if you don't mind, research that. See if you can figure out how many retirement game plans we've written or modified for our clients. The number even shocked me, folks. She said, Tony, you've done over 4,000 written retirement game plans. So these are huge, huge decisions, folks. And when you're thinking about who you're going to talk to carry your money over from a 401k, for instance, all the way through retirement, to have someone that's done 4,000 of these, it kind of reminds me, we were talking before we went on with Aaron and Megan, the folks helping me produce the show. I said, you know the analogy I would think of here? Let's say you're getting ready to have major surgery. Maybe you've had a health diagnosis that's not good and you got to go to a surgeon. You know, you could pick a surgeon that's done 4,000 of these specialized procedures, right? Life or death decision you're looking at. Or maybe you could go to a brand new surgeon that's done 3 of them. I mean, who are you going to talk to? You're going to talk to a retirement specialist that's done 4,000 plans, somebody with 35 years of experience, a fiduciary? Or are you going to try somebody out that maybe hasn't done much retirement planning but claims to be a retirement specialist? Here's the point, folks. You got one shot to get this right. You're going to either choose an experienced retirement specialist with a service team behind that retirement specialist, a team that's put in place to make sure things go your way through retirement, or you can take your chances with somebody else. It's up to you. I would ask that you consider using us. At Tony Walker Financial, we are an independent fiduciary. We don't work for anybody. We work for you. And we're going to make sure to keep this simple, and we're going to make sure we stay with the basics just like Vince Lombardi. You're going to have a game plan that's written down, easy to follow, and best of all, we're going to be there to help you along the way. Well, speaking of this team approach and how we work at Tony Walker Financial, I'm going to kind of show you the secret to what we do, the blocking and tackling of the execution of your plan, and why that's the best part of all when you work with Tony Walker Financial. Stay tuned. I'm going to do a Vince Lombardi imitation here. I'm going to get the whiteboard out and do some X's and O's, but it's going to be related to your retirement account. Stay tuned. Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a buyout? Has a company you work for recently moved or been acquired or closed its doors forever? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k to safer territory. Why continue to risk your hard-earned money when you don't have to? Let's meet in person today to discuss your retirement options. Log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your no-obligation appointment to meet with me in person. Do it today.
You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us.
A powerful scene from Al Pacino as he plays a burned-out coach in the movie Any Given Sunday. You know, I think it's really true. Life is a game of inches, and so is retirement. When you retire, you need to have a game plan because it's those inches out there that you're fighting for. And if you don't know what the inches are and where to find them, you're in trouble. So what I thought I would do is take the next few minutes is to talk about really our strategy for our staff, the team behind Tony Walker Financial. I recently had someone approach me and they were, checking out other advisors, which is fine. They said, "Hey, Tony, I brought up your name to somebody recently," and they said, "Well, yeah, that Tony Walker guy seems pretty sharp, but what happens when something happens to him? He doesn't have anybody there." And I thought, well, that's the most untrue statement I've ever seen. So what do we do at Tony Walker Financial? When you contact us, what are we going to do with your money and how do we implement the game plan? Well, the first thing we like to talk about, we'll use the example of a 401k. We do hundreds of these, just did a couple of them yesterday. It's called a 401k rollover. So maybe you're retiring, your company is shut down, you've got an old 401k, you're over the age of 59 and a half, and you say, "Man, I want to put that in that split IRA concept, Tony, you keep talking about. I want you all to handle this 401k. Can you do that?" And we'd say, "Absolutely. That's right up our bailiwick." So how does this work? Well, first of all, we have to understand that while the 401k is a great savings tool, it is a terrible planning tool. In fact, it is no game plan. There is no game plan associated with a retirement account such as a 401k. So what are the X's and O's here? Well, the 401k doesn't help us think about when to retire. The 401k does not help us with the tax tumor. The 401k, or maybe the advisors who are wanting to get their hands on that 401k, a lot of them won't share their fees and commissions. The 401k does nothing to help us address the future of health care cost or long-term care. The 401k most of them could run out of money because they're in the stock market and we don't know our life expectancy. The 401k in many cases continues to contain risk, which again in retirement is not a good idea. And finally, if you decide to roll that 401k over to somebody, then you got the issue of who can I trust? Sometimes I run into people and I'll say, "Why do you still have this 401k? You've been retired for 4 years. And they'll say, "Well, Tony, at least the people there that have the 401k, I know I don't get a game plan, but at least I feel like I can trust them. I don't know who to roll this thing over to. I've never done this before." So what happens if you contact Tony Walker Financial? Well, first of all, I'm down here. I'm the main fiduciary. I guess you could say, really, I'm kind of the coach of the team. My job is to orchestrate all of these people that are what we call service experts. For instance, we have Connie Fortney, who's been with us 15 years. Connie Fortney has helped me roll over more 401ks than most advisors can even imagine. We have literally done well over 1,000 401k rollovers, TSP rollovers, lump sum pensions. So Connie would put that into action. We have Heather Hughes, who's been with me about 13 years. She's also an investment advisor representative. If something happened to me, Heather could step in. She's also a fiduciary. She can answer your investment questions. So again, she might head this direction to help our clients. I'll just start naming people. We have Lisa Allerkamp. She's certified in Social Security planning, does a lot of our income planning. We have Shannon Ross. She manages and administrates all of the Charles Schwab accounts. We have almost 1,000 accounts with Charles Schwab. And when you get a Charles Schwab account with us, we manage everything. We do it all. If you need money, you call Shannon. We link it up to your checking. We send you money. Folks, this is all about getting you money. We're not trying to hold on to it and charge whopping fees on your money. We're trying to help you use and enjoy it. We move across here. We have Rachel, who's been with us, sets up all of our appointments, does all the administration. Folks, if you need changes in beneficiaries, if there's been a death claim, we do all of that. Everything we do at Tony Walker Financial. We've got Gina here in the Louisville office that assists Trey, my favorite son-in-law. Oh, incidentally, I just had my second grandchild, thanks in part to Trey. And not only is Trey, this guy was a great football player in his day. He used to play at Fort Thomas Highlands, won all these state championships. But little does people know, actually Trey started out as a water boy.
Hey, water boy!
Yes, Mr. Coach for you.
You're fired!
Just kidding, Trey. Then we have Shanna, and then our newest hire, of course, is Leanne, who's going to help us with all of the tax planning. So if you roll this 401k over to us and we decide to do Roth conversions, if we're going to do qualified charitable contributions, all of these things you've got within Tony Walker Financial. So I would challenge anybody out there that has, they're putting their name out there as a retirement specialist, and as you're interviewing these advisors, once you roll that money over, folks, the retirement planning process is just beginning. This is more than just a product. Anybody can sell you a product. There's a lot of great products out there. There's a lot of great advisors that are more than happy to sell you a product and earn a commission. That's how we get paid. We get paid on commissions and fees. Now, our fees are lower than most people. Our commissions are very fair because they're all filed with the states of Kentucky. These are insurance products, so everybody basically gets the same commission on the same products. The difference is all of these service experts that are on board now, the team to implement your game plan. And what we're going to see next week, it doesn't stop there. What we're going to see next week is that the fifth step of our process is called monitor your progress. You know what's going to happen with this game plan, the realistic world? This is all going to change. All these different obstacles will change. All your opponents will change strategies. Tax laws might go up, etc., etc. So we have to be in touch with our clients and be willing and able to help them make changes as those changes come at us. Well, what does the Bible have to say about this notion of money and how we're supposed to use it and how do we implement strategies? Are we to be good stewards and just hoard this money and not spend it? Or would God say, wait a minute, I'm going to put you in charge of this money and you're going to be the one that gets to decide how to use and enjoy it. Very liberating thinking, very biblical thinking. But first I got to get me a cup of coffee. I'll be right back.
Are you missing out on thousands of dollars in Social Security benefits? Find out by attending a free Social Security workshop presented by nationally recognized Social Security expert Heather Schreiber. Tuesday, June 11th in Louisville and Wednesday, June 12th in Bowling Green. Learn frequent common mistakes people make with their Social Security and how to avoid them, regardless of whether you're retired or retiring soon. Register now, as seating is limited. To claim your free seat, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com.
Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement with the money missionary himself, Tony Walker.
What's your motto to a successful life? Vince Lombardi and the Green Bay Packers won a ton of games by simply following this motto: block well, tackle well, and execute the game plan. Our motto at Tony Walker Financial teaches our clients to, number one, have better control of their money. Number two, make sure that they have use of the money. And finally, to make sure that the game plan is flexible so that they can use and enjoy this money with the changes that will come our way. You know what? God's got a motto about money too. And it depends on who you're talking to. But I love how Charles Spurgeon, in his masterful work, Spurgeon's Book of Practical Wisdom, summarizes his motto of money, or what he likes to refer to as gold. Spurgeon's first motto is, let's read these. Vain man's motto is win gold and wear it. A generous man's motto is win gold and share it. A miserly man's motto is win gold and spare it. A banker's motto of gold is win gold and lend it. A gambler's motto is win gold and lose it. And here's the key, folks. A wise man's motto is win gold and use it. You know the biggest misconception of Christians when it comes to spending and enjoying their money? I call it the guilt trip gospel. This false notion professes by many believers that this money that is in your current possession is really not your money, that it's God's money. Now this sounds good on the surface, but I think, in my opinion, this is bad theology. You know, Peter reminded Ananias and Sapphira in this very truth in Acts 5:4, where Peter reminds us of this when he says to Ananias and Sapphira, while it remained, that is this land, while it was in their possession, okay, they had sold the land basically and gave it to the church, Peter says, was it not your own? And after it was sold, was it not, he's referring to now they sold it and they got this money. He says, after you got the money, in your own control? Was this money not in your own control? What Peter is saying is, why insult God by trying to impress others with goofy notions about money? Just accept the fact that whatever you have is a blessing from God, and He expects you to use and enjoy it. You know what I've found, or at least my belief, God is not a tyrant. He's not some bookkeeper keeping an account of all of our financial transactions. God is simply our Father who wants the best for us. He doesn't need this money, nor does He want it. This money that's in your hot little hands right now is a man-made product, and all it is a commodity. Its purpose is simply to allow us to do business with the world. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, in the end, folks, this money you have one day is no longer going to be in your control. Somebody's going to get it. Now, unfortunately, with this guilt-trip gospel notion, it creates a lot of confusion on money, and thus, instead of us enjoying this money by faith, which God has provided us, we feel guilty or sometimes even ashamed to spend this money that we've worked so hard to create. A sad fact. In fact, Ecclesiastes reminds us of this summary where it simply says, "What profit has a man from all of his labor in which he toils under the sun? One generation passes away and another generation comes, but the earth abides forever." Friend, your life, my life, it's but a vapor. The Bible reminds us of this. We're going to be here for a little while, then all of a sudden, at some predestined time appointed by God, we're going to vanish into thin air. So what's the answer? The answer is to enjoy this money, but also have a game plan that allows us not to run out of it. We shouldn't have any shame or guilt associated with what we've been able to accumulate. And certainly, while we should be good stewards of this money, we've got to remember we've got to be prudent, but we've also got to find someone sometimes that can provide us the Vince Lombardi method of finance. That is, to keep it simple and implement this game plan to the best of our abilities. You know, over the years, we've created over 4,000 written game plans, so we know a thing or two about retirement. We're not wealth managers, we're not financial analysts, we're not investment advisors. We are retirement planning specialists, and if you're retired or nearing retirement, we are very, very good at what we do. So, whether you've got a 401k, money languishing in the bank, maybe you've received an inheritance, you're trying to figure out whether to take a lump sum pension or not, if you have any major financial decisions coming up, why don't you log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com right now. It's easy to work with us. All you got to do is click on that Let's Get Started button, and the best thing of all, to work with us is absolutely free. What we'll do, we'll meet in person or over the phone. If we have a meeting in person, what I'll do is we'll go through our vision exercise. We'll go through an assessment. We'll provide you a written game plan, and then if you decide to work with Tony Walker Financial, yes, our team of professionals will go into action to implement everything that we've laid out for you again. So go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or give us a call at 877-499-WALK. Well, we hope you've enjoyed today's program. On next week's show, we're going to have a great show because we're going to talk about the fifth step of our process called Monitor Your Progress. Really, really good stuff. But you remember, between now and next week, if all else fails, you be worry-free. Make it a good one.
Thank you for watching the Worry-Free Retirement with Tony Walker. If you need a safe and simple game plan for your retirement, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and schedule a free, no-obligation meeting with Tony.